Well, my name is Russ Milheim from The Direct. Thank you guys both for talking to me today about the series.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Russ.
I've seen the first six episodes and I've loved it so far. So congratulations on being able to pull off this really fun, creepy series. One
Thank
thing
you.
I wanted to note was just the show kind of has some perfectly crafted paranoia going on throughout all points. Can you elaborate on how you were able to achieve that and weave together so many different storylines that like play on that, like from falsehoods to like possibly legitimate supernatural activity to like high school cults that were started out of jest.
Yeah. Well, I think I think something that we tried to bringing to the show in the writers' room was to kind of trust nothing. There is this blurred line throughout the entire show of, wait, did this thing really happen? And what are the clues surrounding it that prove either yes or no? There's tons of stuff peppered in there that we might not shine a light on, but on repeat viewings, you will see, aha, I see this thing in the background, or I see this little detail. Now I get what's going on there. So, we definitely took great pains to make those moments work. David, I don't know if you want to elaborate on any of that
No, I
at
think that
all.
that was sort of the goal of in the writing is that feeling that well, Matt already said it. Where's the line? Where's reality?
Yeah.
And that's the question that stays throughout the show, and deciding in each episode how far we were going to go was a constant conversation, and even changed right up into the editing room. We would make changes
Yeah.
that affected the answer to that question too. And it's a great creative process to have the freedom to play with that and play with the audience that way.
The show can be incredibly creepy, but it's also just casually hilarious at points too. How did you guys maintain the balance of that sense of comedy without taking away from the stakes or, hysteria, as it were?
Yeah. So for me, I one of my first favorite screenplays was Scream, the Kevin Williamson script for Scream, which I felt did such an incredible job of, it's a hilarious movie. It is a terrifying movie. I don't think I would ever call it a horror comedy. It's a horror film where the characters are funny, and because of that, you like them for it. You are along for the ride with these characters. In our situation, these characters who are often doing really stupid things, you're with them because they're kind of like your friends. But as soon as the horrific things start happening, it's important not to start peppering in one-liners or, making things a little bit too goofy or anything like that. It's important that when the threat comes into the frame, it very much feels like a threat, and now we're worried for this person that we like.
Yeah, that's the trick, isn't it? I came to the project after Matt had written the pilot, and so I read the pilot, and Matt had already kind of effectively done what he set out to do, which was mixing the horror and the comedy. The comedy was right there along with the horror, but that is your job, is making sure that that the that your comedy doesn't undercut your scares. Sometimes the comedy comes after the scare, and you get an extra laugh of relief from that. But you're really just trying to make sure that the world feels real and that the stakes for everybody feels real. But that doesn't mean that you can't have moments of lightness in there.
So with the series, do you guys intend for it to run multiple seasons, or hope at least that it runs multiple seasons, or do you guys see this as kind of a limited run? You have a story to tell and you have a beginning and end, and that's what this season will be.
I tend to think of stories in four acts. So I tend to think of this as the first of four seasons. Whether or not we go that far, that's going to depend on viewership. That's going to depend on a lot of things that are out of our control. But I think there's still a lot more story to tell here. But David, I'll throw to you
Yeah,
as well.
and we take right up. We take these characters in this first season up to the edge, and then literally send them over the edge, and then but the story's not over. We do tie up some loose ends, but there's then still plenty of other loose ends that are still loose, and you're creating a world and characters that you want to be with and that you want the audience to want to be with. And so our hope is that we can keep going with this
Yeah.
story, with these characters, with this show.
What are you, so for my last question for you both, what are you guys most proud of with how everything turned out?
I'm incredibly proud of how the what we'll call the flashback episode came out. How
Yep.
that came out. I think that is couldn't have been better for what we set out to do.
I think for me, I agree. I think the flashback is just an amazing episode, and I think for me, you set out to do something, and you don't. Even though Matt had a clear idea of how he thought the show should end, the first season should end. The ways we took to get there, and the roads we went down and realized they were dead ends and went another
Yeah.
way, and that the creative process, not to sound too hokey about it, but the creative process, that we did this thing, and it looks like everything was planned out from day one, and there were a lot of ideas on day one, and certainly Matt's pilot created this world and created these characters, but we went on a journey, and the idea that the journey worked and that we found our way to a show that I think is pretty compelling and pretty exciting. That's what I'm most proud of, is that we set out and we finished, and it's a really, I think, a really good show.
I mean, I've loved it so far. I've got 2 more episodes left. And yeah, I'm happy to hear that you guys have plans for hopefully more. So I'm gonna cross my
Oh
fingers
yeah,
that Peacock listens.
us too.
Us
Well,
too.
thank you
Yeah.
so much, Russ.
Of course. Thank you guys again.
All right. Take care.